So, hello. There's Nona. Oh, of course, Nona's next. There we go. Make sure I can hear everyone.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
This thing just keeps doing weird things every month. How was everyone's holiday? Nona, how was your holiday? Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. I have to admit, I've switched from worrying about wildfire to worrying about flood.
We have a small leak in our basement, and I spent the entire day frantically putting away Christmas decorations because all these dominoes are falling in order to get the leak fixed. So I'm totally out of Christmas mode. But Wando, did you have a good one with your family?
Yeah, we had the whole family here except for our grandson, including my sister and her husband. I've not seen her in over a year. And I have to laugh at the comment about wildfires versus flood. Driving around here on Golden Oak and some of the Portola Valley streets, I'm seeing all these little landslides and things, and I'm happy that I live on the top of a hill that is made of rock.
Yeah.
Because it's not going anywhere.
Dee, did you have a nice holiday?
I sure did. Yeah, it's good.
We made chocolate souffles.
Oh, wow.
My first ever chocolate souffle.
You
Nice.
made it?
We made it from scratch. Yeah. And it was really wonderful. It wasn't too difficult, but there were some issues, but it was fun. It's nice. It was very nice. So we are just waiting for MJ.
Oh, we need her.
Yeah, our secretary. Yeah.
I told my husband that was a 46-page agenda.
It actually it's going to go very quickly.
That would be nice because I have ice cream waiting for me. Not sitting out in the dish, it's in the freezer.
Okay. I guarantee you we will be stopping at 8:30. I'm tired. So I wonder if MJ remembered the meeting. There she is.
There she is. Say her
Hey,
name and she
MJ.
appears.
Okay. Okay. As soon as we see her. Yeah.
Yay.
Hi, good evening. Okay, so I'm just going to text my daughter. She got home in the rain and I worry.
Definition of mother, worry.
Yeah, well, she
Yeah.
was here packing up my stuff all day and vacuuming, so she deserves a text message. Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Let's do a roll call. I'm just going to do a visual roll call, and we have all our members. Jeremy will not be joining us today because it's a holiday for them, and I don't expect the fire district either. Does anyone have an oral communication for items not on the agenda?
Nope.
We have no members. We do. And do you pronounce your first name Onal?
Annalie.
What is it?
It's Annalie. Hey, Annalie. How are
Annalie.
you?
Hi, Annalie. So glad that you joined us. Do you have an oral communication that's not on the agenda?
I haven't got my sound up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we're so glad you joined us. Do you have anything you want to say that's not on the agenda?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that you people are doing such a really thorough job of looking at the things that you need to look at, like the safety element. I'm just so thankful that you people are doing this because it's for the whole town, and you are spending so much time and putting so much thought into it. I just appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you so much. That is lovely to hear. Okay.
I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Happy New Year. And MJ, did you have something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask, it's not on the agenda, and since Dawn probably isn't showing up, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about this fire district administrative citation process that was presented at the EBC last month. I never watched their meeting, so I don't know what happened.
It's actually on our agenda as far as agenda topics. So when we get to agenda topics, we'll cover it. I mean, I don't think I'm allowed to. Can I talk about it even though it's not on the agenda?
I thought you said it is on the agenda.
Well, it's only for an agenda topic. I mean, I can tell you, is it okay for me to say, because I listened to the meeting?
Well, if you consider it part of the agenda topic that you have for new business, that's
And
fine.
let's wait till we get to the agendas for 2023. That would be new business F.
Yeah,
And then we can discuss why that should be on the agenda for next week.
okay, let's do it that way.
Patty. Okay, Patty, we're just,
Hi, Patty.
Happy New Year. We're just about to go on to approval of the minutes. Do you have an oral communication you'd like to make that's not on the agenda? Okay.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to move that we approve the minutes for December 5th. And I also want to thank MJ once again for creating wonderful minutes. And we so appreciate her doing this every month. So can I see a show of hands? Who's going to approve the minutes? Okay, everyone approves the minutes, MJ. Okay. So, old business. So last month, we reviewed our draft of the safety element recommendations. We made changes to 2 words. Those 2 words have been changed and they are reflected in the document that's attached. We decided to wait for a vote until we received the answers to our questions from the town, which we did last week. And does anyone have anything based on those answers we got from the town that you would like to add to the safety element recommendations?
No.
Well, I was wondering, Jennifer, I was too lazy to look it up, but the version we have now, I didn't see anything in their answers that I thought had to be included in our recommendations, but
No, I didn't either.
okay.
But, you know, we wanted to wait in case something surprising happened. I looked through the entire document. I didn't see anything. The only thing I saw was for us to track the A44-2, explore the feasibility of other vegetation management strategies. And that was Nona's question, that we know these strategies, so why are we exploring them? And their answer was just, you know, even though we know them, the town still has to make them official. So I would think that is something we want to track to make sure that is implemented. And we are formalizing what we know about fire safe vegetation management and conservation. And that was under WPC 1. So I would be fine going forward to approve our recommendations.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out something from, you know, I had the questions about how many houses have been built to Chapter 7A, and they basically said it's maybe around 8 to 10 a year since 2010, right?
Mhm.
So that's not very many houses out of 1,800 houses. And I think, and you could discuss this under new business, but I think we ought to get those numbers. They said that they were probably available, but they'd have to do some research. And I think maybe we should get that research, find out where they are, maybe.
I mean, I could ask, but I mean, the reality is those changes are for new construction. And
That's what
Well, I thought it should also include significant remodels. So that's, I don't know where the 8 to 10 new houses, if that means only brand new or remodel, 50% or more remodel. You know, Dee?
No idea.
I'm not clear on your question.
Well, so I wanted to know how many houses in town are already built to Chapter 7A standards. And they said they didn't have an explicit list. And I also asked where they were. And they said they didn't have an explicit list, but you know, maybe they could get that information. And my question is, but they said maybe it was, I think, 8 or 10 a year since 2010. And that's not very many houses. So
You have to change your footprint 50% or your wall space, your roof, your.
It's it's a 50% rule. I think you could split hairs about how they actually come up with that. But to get back to your question, MJ, I think any new home that was built, I mean, that would be the first kind of easy record. Any new home
Right.
that's been built
yeah.
would have had to come up to this standard. I
Right.
don't know that they have a list of all of the remodels that are considered 50% or not. I mean, I don't know how they organize their information.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I was wondering, if we as a committee would want to know that, so that we know how big is this issue. If we're saying the whole town, we want all existing houses to be brought up to the Chapter 7A, and we have no idea at all of.
There is no way we're going. Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out. We have a huge problem in this town because the vast majority of homes are not built to Chapter 7A. The vast majority were built to fire standards that are much older now. And financially, there is no possible way to say that every existing homeowner has to update their home. Right, I mean, even though they're not doing remodeling. I mean, you just look at the ranch, all of our houses were built, in 1980, and they're very well built, but they're not probably up to the standards we'd like them to be. Financially, you just can't compel somebody to update their home to Chapter 7.
Yeah, but Jennifer, we're writing that into these policies in the safety element. We're making those statements.
But no, not to say that you're gonna send me a letter as a current homeowner and I'm gonna have to update. I'm gonna have to spend $1 million updating my house to Chapter 7A.
It originated when somebody applies for a building permit.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the only way the town has any jurisdiction
Right.
to be able to do that.
Right,
So-
but I thought what we were putting into the safety element were policies that say, you know, existing houses need to be brought up to code. Isn't that what we're saying? We're not saying that?
no, we're saying that if you, like, for example, if you install a deck, we're suggesting maybe you could compel the owner also to install ember resistant vents. Or when certain building permits, you need to update very targeted home hardening.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I don't even think the town or the state could legally
You
even
couldn't.
somebody.
You couldn't.
No. And I'll tell you.
Firing. I mean, I think that again, let's step back. The safety, my understanding is the safety element is more of a general view. And we're trying to capture, like, the aspiration is that all of the homes be built to that. And how
right,
do you get there, right? So you
Right.
get there one
Right.
step at a time.
yeah.
I think we're all in agreement that all of these homes should be, right, from a general standpoint, all of our homes should be as fire resistant as we can.
Yeah,
And I think that's what we have to remember about this element, right? Is like that it really is it's more of a general document. And we've
Right.
gotten really specific on lots of different things.
right,
So, and the
And
only
when-
way you can really do that is when someone is, you know, the only time the town has any jurisdiction is when you are submitting for a building permit. And I think we've done a pretty good job of trying to catch opportunities, if you will, right? I think that's what we've come up with. Here are the opportunities for folks to harden their home. And
Yeah.
the building department is a great way to encourage enlighten, motivate, all of those things, right?
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of something else then. Maybe what we should do going forward, not for this safety element, but for the future, maybe we should think about if we came up with this checklist, right, for the building department where people could do the wildfire checklist, and I've done this, that, and the other. Then at that point, we should start tracking how many houses are doing this. And so we have some kind of number that shows, what
I think
kind of
that's a good
progress we're
suggestion.
making.
Right.
So
I think that's a good
so,
suggestion.
yeah. But that's
Well-
completely separate from the safety element.
And the insurance companies are gonna do some of that for us, because there's going to be a great deal of conversation next year when these new insurance policies come into force, when people are gonna have to start putting in these vents and looking at their eaves and looking at
Yeah.
their siding. It's gonna be tough.
What about things like the Firewise checklist and things like that? I mean, there could be things, that's not when they're building, but that's certainly things they need to think about that they can do to upgrade their homes to be more fire resistant.
Yeah, that's another strategy that's included. Absolutely, right?
So does Firewise have a checklist? Well, yes, you're looking at
yeah.
the outside of the
Yeah.
homes.
Oh, yeah, when you go through your self-assessment, they'll ask you questions.
Yeah.
Your 5 feet barrier or your, do you have ember resistant, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Which is just another example why Firewise communities are so important to Portola Valley. And we really need to focus on that.
Damn right. Who's working on that? Why don't they get their button gear?
I thought you were, Patty.
I
Oh,
know.
I'm sorry.
I said I'll help you. I said I'm here.
I know you did, and
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I am going to use your help. Don't worry,
Good.
Jennifer.
Good. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. I'm so glad you're here, Patty. You're so welcome. Okay, so
Can I just
Nona
jump
has a
in?
question.
Nona
Yes.
has-
Yeah,
Nona,
it's
go
not
ahead.
actually a question. I actually think that MJ's suggestion that we know how many houses were constructed to Chapter 7 would be worth knowing.
Done.
And, obviously the town has a record of all the building permits that were approved, and ASCC has a record of all of the housing, the site development plans that were approved. So I don't know. I realize it's not important for the safety element, but I could imagine it being useful information going forward, especially to see, are there particular areas where they're concentrated? Are they spread around? I don't know. I mean,
No, I
these
agree.
could be focal points for Firewise communities, for example. If you had one home in a neighborhood that was, and that becomes kind of the impetus or the leading edge of
Okay.
Firewise in that neighborhood.
So we are asking how many houses were built to Chapter 7, and then also how many were remodeled
Right.
and updated then and forced to. And then do we want the addresses? I mean, we have.
That
so-
would be nice if we wanted to figure out, is there, areas neighborhoods that are safer? I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be something we want to make public, but,
Well, the
I-
site development permits are public information. The ASCC minutes
okay.
are public.
all
So,
right.
I mean, in that sense, I'm not saying
Okay.
we want to.
Yeah.
I will ask, and I will ask you all to be gentle, because they are really busy right now trying to get everything done.
Oh, right. No, I'm talking, middle
Yeah.
of next year or something.
That's great.
I bet you mean the middle of this year.
This year.
Oh, that's right. We're in 2023. That's right. It's a holiday. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's. So we were about to approve the safety element. Is that where we were? Is that where we
Yeah.
are?
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the safety element.
Oh, wait a second. I did have 4 little typos. Do you want me to just email them to you, Jennifer?
Yeah.
So we'll just approve subject to these 4 little typos.
Okay.
Meaning they're not substantive.
Right.
I really do
literally-
appreciate you, MJ. I appreciate
Why?
your thoroughness.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
We all would have our moments where
I'm sorry, I should read less.
No, MJ, you keep
No,
at it. I'm glad
don't.
somebody read it. I'm just glad somebody read it. Okay, so do we have a motion and a second?
We
I
do.
motion.
Okay, so let's see a show of hands for approval. Hot dog. Okay,
Wait, who did the motion and who approved, who did
Uh,
a second?
D and MJ.
and you seconded. Dee did the motion and you seconded it.
Oh, okay.
So let's let our secretary get caught up.
She's always ahead of us.
No, she's not. Okay, let's let her, because this is our, I think that was my first official vote taking as the chair. Woo! Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't ask for discussion from the public. Did anyone else have any discussion? Patty, okay, you like the recommend, I figured you were participating, so you would have said something. Okay. So
Yeah.
we,
Am I generic Q public tonight?
no, we have two people in a public, but
Right.
I see her and she said no, so you're good. Okay.
No, I'm good.
So let's move on to new business very quickly. Last month, we discussed that the new meeting time didn't work for Jeremy because he has an obligation he couldn't get out of on Monday nights. So he said he could make the fourth Thursdays. And everyone said they could also do the fourth Thursdays. And I think it would be very beneficial to have Jeremy with us because
Yes.
he
Agreed.
okay, so if everyone is in agreement, we'll change our meetings to the fourth Thursdays of the month. However,
Wait, at 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
Okay.
However, I am gone in January, so this won't take place till February. So here is what I am proposing. I am proposing that we have our regular meeting on February 6th with this new time, and Jeremy won't be there. And then we start the meetings on February 23rd, the fourth Thursday. I know that's asking you to have two meetings in February, but I'm going to be gone either in June or July, and we'll just cancel that meeting, so you'll get your time back.
Wait,
Do you
I have a conflict for the 6th. Since you had proposed this, I didn't bring it up because I thought we were going to be going to Thursdays. So
Okay.
I don't know if you need to have a quorum if you're going to have two meetings in.
Well, we'll still have a quorum. Without, oh, you can't make the 6th either?
No.
Okay, so we're gone on February 6th. We hadn't, okay,
Yeah.
so
We
we're gonna
can't
have
even-
our next meeting
Do you-
February 23rd.
Dee, we can't even have a meeting if we don't have a quorum.
Okay.
So,
But we would have a quorum without you. We can have a quorum with 4 people. Okay, so then our next meeting would not be till February 23rd.
Right.
right.
Okay, so. Okay, I
Okay.
think that's okay.
Jennifer, we have to get that approved by the town council?
Yes, it will be approved.
Okay.
Jeremy's good with that. I've already talked to Melissa and they have lots of time to approve it. And we were just going to have a special meeting. Okay, so when we discuss agenda items for this year, let's keep in mind, we're not meeting for 2 months, almost 2 months.
Right. Okay.
And do we think that's okay? And I think it probably is. Okay, so I don't think we need to take a vote on this. I'm going to change the meeting times to the fourth Thursday.
No, let's take a vote. I need something to put
Okay.
in the minutes.
Yeah,
Okay,
good point.
of the month. So who would like to make a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion, you have to say the motion.
Oh, I move that we change the meeting time to the fourth Thursday of the month beginning February 26th.
23rd.
Would like to second?
It's 23rd, right?
That would be the 23rd. Okay, Nona seconds. Show of hands.
Yes, it's the 23rd, sorry.
Okay, yep. So it'll be February 23rd and the fourth Thursday of every month. Okay, and then we may just have to do some special meetings for Thanksgiving and whatnot. So I'm sorry, once again, I didn't ask for any comments from the public did anyone have any comments or conflicts with the fourth Thursday? I apologize.
Yeah, it's Thursday night football, but you know,
Is that okay?
nobody ever thinks of that.
We gotta have, well, Jeremy obviously doesn't. We're changing our schedule for him, so.
Yeah. Priorities, you know,
Okay.
some of us have priorities.
I just hope the playoffs are done because the 49ers were really, that was an exciting game.
Yes, it was. Okay, where are we?
Okay, so the next item is discuss input for the January 2023 committee chair workshop regarding major town council projects and expenditures. So once a year, they get the chairs together and we can propose things that we think the town council should spend money on. So I don't know whether they're going to listen, but this is my list and I want you to add to it or delete from it. So from under Firewise committees and Firewise participation, I have two proposals. One, that I think they should create a small stipend for Firewise committees. We're talking, it could be as little as a couple $100 a year. It could be 500. And they use that for mailings. They have to do events. Sometimes, you know, they have to buy the snacks. Also, these meetings tend to be more well attended if you have a little giveaway, even as something as little as a smoke detector. And this is just one of the ways that we can support these Firewise committees because a lot of people are spending their own money. Then something that would be also Firewise, but much more money. I was going to throw out our supporting our Firewise community proposal, the funded program proposal that Wanda and I presented a few months ago that we kind of have on hold. And that was simply a grant for a one-time grant for homeowners in Firewise communities. And it could be as little as $1,500 or $2,000, just something that would jumpstart that Firewise community or get people a little excited to participate or talking to their committee and focusing on the committee. So those were the two Firewise suggestions I had. And then I also am going to throw out, I think that there is a new enforcement strategy that Don Bullard went through at the EPC meeting. I do encourage you to listen to the EPC meeting from last month, and we will be having Don come to us. But there is a new enforcement push, and I think there should be some kind of a low-income grant to help households in Portola Valley. There's not a lot of them, but they're out there to meet these enforcement challenges. And then my last suggestion would be that I think they should investigate whether there is a way to have a shelter in place location in high fire danger areas. And I know that they've talked about the community center, and I don't think that's going to be a reasonable place. If there, you're going to go to 280. But in these areas that you could be trapped in, they've got one way out. And if there's fire, I do know that firefighters use some kind of portable shelter. And I don't know if it's even possible, but maybe there are sheds that the fire department can erect and train people how to. I don't know, but actually, I'd like to at least put that on their radar, that they should be asking the fire district what kind of shelter in place locations. Is it just an area we clear that you can park your car? But if you're trapped up in an area, then you can't get out. Is there something that's relatively cost effective that the town can do? I can put my name. This is just from Jennifer. Everyone else thought that it was silly, but
You're just talking about these as discussion topics, right?
No, these would be a list of things that in the meeting that I have with the other chairs, I give Jeremy and say, put this in the town council's ear. These are things that we think that they should look at.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that.
No,
Not a
no,
demand,
go
but
for
a
it.
discussion.
So I have a question just to start with it. Being a relatively new member of this committee, does this committee have a budget, and would any of those items make sense under this committee's budget? For example, the first one on the Firewise committees is if it's a small grant or a small budget for a mailer or something like that, would that make sense?
You know, we should have a budget. I haven't actually formalized a budget with Jeremy because our budget needs are very, very small for the wildfire fair, and that's the only thing that we're spending money on. But it is very possible that if they create this Firewise stipend, it would be under our budget.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the ideas of the stipend for Firewise and the grant. Those make sense. And enforcement, a low income grant for enforcement. The shelter in place, I think it would be better if you actually had something concrete to to lobby for, right? Like
Yeah, but really we can't unless we ask the fire district, and it's really up to the town to ask the fire district the question. Is there this is an issue that has come up. And I just think that we should say, I just think as a town, we should tell people, and MJ actually pointed this out in the safety element, we don't have any place right now for shelter in place.
Right.
You don't leave early and you can't get out. We have no shelter in place. So is there a shelter in place? Is there a place that makes sense? I don't know what that even looks like. I know that firefighters do shelter in place if they are trapped in a fire.
Like they have those blankets, right?
Yes,
They have
they
those
have
like
those.
high temperature. I mean, if I were a resident of the Highlands, which I would go buy one of those. Seriously,
I would too. But if you're next to
Um,
a tree that's going to fall on you, maybe that wouldn't help. Maybe it's a question of just identifying parking lot areas that you're supposed to go to. I don't have the faintest idea, but I
if
just,
you're trapped, you can't even get to the parking lot, right? Like I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around where would be a place that you would go to. If you could get to there, then you would probably be trying to get out anyway, right?
and I think they need to ask that to the wildfire or the fire district. I think they need to say, is there something they can do?
Yeah, it seems to me, when I thought about it, the only places that you could sort of shelter in place are the ones that have, they have a fireproof building, like it's stucco, right? And then you have like a large parking area around it. So basically that would be like Roberts, maybe there's something like that at the Priory. I don't think the Sequoias, because it's too much at the bottom of a hill, right?
I don't know. I just think that they need to ask the fire district,
Yeah.
But
How
the
much
thing
would
that
it
you're asking for is to actually bring a proposal to the town council for money to be spent, right? Like
no, I am saying we think they should look at this. They should ask questions. Is there a way to do this? How much would it cost? Does it even exist?
You
I
mean
think
like
if they
hire
turn
it?
around and say this committee should look at it.
Yeah.
yeah, I
think
just don't, I think it's a good idea, but I think it should be a little more formed before we take
yeah,
it to.
I
the
think it's a
council.
committee project.
Right.
Can I float it that we are interested in
Sure.
this topic and we would like to know if the town council would fund it? If we,
Fund what though? That's Steve's question.
Yeah,
And
they're not
mine.
going to answer that.
I don't know. Because we don't know what the fire district would say, and we don't have the, if Don were here, I would ask him, but even Don would probably say they'd have to really research it.
Sure,
Well,
float
we-
away, like it doesn't hurt to ask.
Or you could start by asking Don. before you have this committee chairman meeting, just ask Don what he said off the top of his head.
But if you're
Or
going to the
maybe-
town for money, I think you should ask for a budget for our committee. Like, I love.
What
those
kind of a
questions,
budget would we like?
right? I mean, like, well, you and I are going to be talking to Jeremy on the 12th about how much.
Yes, but we're not really talking to him about that.
Okay.
The Wildfire Preparedness Fair, we need to get a budget, but right now we have about a $5,000 budget for the Wildfire Preparedness Fair. We know that.
Okay.
I just tend to eat the cost of the posters I make because I hate to bill the town for it.
Well, that's kind of where I'm coming from too, right? Like when we're
Yes.
asking for money, let's have
Yeah.
something concrete to, to put before them. That's all I'm
Yep.
saying.
But this isn't us asking for money. This is different. I mean, that's
Right.
what was weird about this is that, this is the first time I've ever been a chair. And so when this first popped up a couple of months ago, I didn't think much of it. And then the more that I've learned, I finally said, well, I went through Jeremy with my list, and he said, yeah. Sounds good. I mean, we're not going before the town council and saying, we think you should spend this money. We're saying this should be in your viewport. These are the things that you. Okay, CVU.
Yep. I just.
Oh,
got it.
it's I think it's rain. Okay.
Yeah, it's rain.
CVU.
Well, our alert system works. So
Yes,
that's
I know. Good. Our alert system. Yes, I got the alert. I'm good.
Yeah.
So this is not really a formal proposal. This is that we just want you to be aware that we think this is an idea.
okay. I must have
Right.
misunderstood. It's makes sense to me.
So one thing that has worked well on other committees is when committees work together on proposals like this. So this might be something that if emergency preparedness and wildfire preparedness came together and said, okay, let's brainstorm it a little bit more, because it's outside of our expertise, clearly,
Mhm.
and it's probably outside theirs too, but they've probably thought about this as well. I don't know. It just seems to me that sometimes committees coming together can come up with a plan that makes sense to the town.
Great idea. I will email Dale and I will say, I was thinking about bringing this up and see if he has any thoughts and if he says no, do you just want me to drop it? I just would like somebody to ask the question and get an answer about shelter in place, because I've got 2 exits, but I'm going to feel really bad if we have a major fire and people don't get out, and we could have just asked the right question. I just want the question answered. That's all. Is there something we can do?
I appreciate you asking it. I'm happy to volunteer and do some research in this next month and see what I come up with. How about that?
Okay, why don't you do that? And then if the meeting's on, when is the meeting?
23rd, I think,
The 23rd, yes.
or 22nd, whatever the town council meeting is.
No, I don't think it's in front of the town council.
Mhm.
It's, when is it? I think it's February 6th.
Oh, I'll do it before then. Maybe
Okay.
I'll just email, because we're not meeting, right? So
No, we're not. Does anyone else have any funding suggestions of the things you think they should bring up?
Don't know enough.
I think the first two are great. You know, the
Yeah.
third one is a little loosey-goosey, maybe.
Okay,
I have one. Is it time for GQ Public to talk or later?
sure. If the committee is done, go ahead, Patty.
I think it would be wise, I like, a suggestion of several committees to come together. What I would like the town to pursue is resources to enable us to apply for grants. So the state and the federal government give away a lot of money. They give away money for fire prevention. They give away money for, as I've known and from my time on the Parks and Rec Committee, they give away money for towns to acquire Parks and Rec land and to refurbish Parks and Rec. They give away a lot of money, but it takes time to write these grants. It takes people who know what they're doing. I work for a nonprofit who we have a consultant on retainer who does nothing but write grant applications for us. And it's not that expensive. So I would like, one of the things I'm going to bring forward from the Parks and Rec, and it'd be helpful, I think, if other committees supported it as well, is can the town invest in a resource to help us apply for grants that would help us achieve some of the things we're trying to do in the community that we know we don't have the money to do. So I look at Firewise and I say $1,500 to give to a resident, quite frankly, is not a lot of money. You know, you cut down 1 or 2 trees, it's thousands of dollars. I know because I've cut down a lot of them. So it's going to take more than $1,500 to incent people to do Firewise. The town doesn't have that kind of money. Where do we go get it? Are there grants? I don't know. Who knows? How do we get them? I mean, I just think there's opportunity out there. I think this, I don't know for sure. Jeremy may have already looked into this. But I just would like to see if the town could invest in resources to help us as a community to get money to help us to do what we need to do.
So Patty, are you suggesting like they just hire like a part-time grant writer for town grants or use?
I'm not suggesting the solution. I think that is one solution. Like I say, I'm on the board of a nonprofit that uses a consultant to do it, and we only pay her for the hours that she does to write the grants. I'm not proposing the solution. I'm just asking the question, could this be a priority for the town council?
You know, I was on a Zoom call with listening to a grant and listening to people, and there was a grant writer where 4 towns had gone in and she was writing grants for 4 different towns. That's a really, Patty, that's a really good idea. Maybe.
Well, so why couldn't we be the 5th town? Yeah.
Yeah. Grant writer. Okay. I think that's a great idea to the town go in with other towns to get a grant writer.
Or,
Get
you know,
money out there.
or one of our own. If anyway, again, I'm not prescribing the solution. Just
like
asking
that.
the question.
I think it's a great idea. Anybody else have any ideas? Okay. Okay. Then we'll move on, and Dee, you're gonna get me the information so I don't make a fool of myself. Okay. I do that enough. Okay. All right. So we're gonna discuss the new fire maps. I didn't really anticipate us having that much of a discussion because there's not that much to discuss. I do want to point out that there's 2 documents attached to your agenda packet. So One was a very interesting study that Nona sent me on factors that influenced whether or not people adopted or rejected the fire maps back in 2008. And if you didn't read it, the thing that I found most interesting was it really, we kind of knew this already anecdotally from listening to people in Portola Valley, but now it's a fact. Yeah, it was insurance and property values that people were worried about. And that's why many communities did not adopt the fire maps. It's a real interesting study to read as we get more into fire maps in the months to come. Also, this was the town staff memo that was read during the planning commission that also gave more information, and the fire district hired flame mappers to assess the 5 housing inventory sites on Alpine for fire danger. And it's the results that a fire mapper concluded that all of the parcels except the Stanford site would be moderate. And then once the sites are built, then the moderate would be reduced to low. In regards to the Stanford site, that with no building, the site would be considered high, but with, as with the others, once built out, it would be reduced to moderate. It's an interesting read. And then I also attached the old fire maps and the new fire maps. They're just for, they're not for our area. They're for the SRA. But there was some increase in fire danger. And Nona, you probably studied those maps more, and MJ or D, did you have any?
I think the thing I thought was interesting is that, you know, these new maps are based on more detailed, more recent, and more different kinds of information, such as, you know, the new vegetation models, the new LiDAR surveys, climate history more, and fire history more. And I'm not terribly surprised by the new state responsibility area map. It's kind of interesting from the perspective of Portola Valley that probably the same extent of our town border borders on high fire hazard severity. But some areas have changed. Some have been downgraded and some have been upgraded. You know, I work at Jasperidge, and so I was really interested in that particular area, which used to be high fire severity hazard, and now it's all moderate. And we had done some modeling internally, which led us to think that it would be downgraded. So it was interesting to see that it was. Obviously, these maps are only interesting to the town insofar as they form the basis for Woodside Fire then coming up with the local responsibility area map. But it is interesting to note, I think, that even though there's a lot more detailed information available now, the resulting maps don't have a lot of, the areas are still pretty large when they're mapped out. So the high fire severity areas are big polygons, not little patchworks of polygons, even though the information is a lot more detailed. So they're just interesting. I didn't have a particular point to make, except that we were not surprised within Jasperidge that the fire risk went down.
MJ?
Yeah, thanks for explaining that, Nona. I was wondering why Jasperidge went from high to moderate, and, you know, specifically what did you guys do? Do you know? Or
So we didn't do any, I mean, obviously we didn't provide input specifically to the maps. We participated and provided input on the countywide veg mapping, for example. But it's just simply the case that there isn't that much, I guess we're getting more
You guys are getting SMC alerts because I'm not.
Yeah,
Uh-uh.
Oh.
um,
Is-
Sign up for the new one.
Well, it's funny you should ask. I re-registered today.
Hmm.
And now I guess I'm not getting anything.
I mean, the one thing I can tell you about the Jasper Ridge map is that it's very, very different from what the Stanford wildfire modeling has shown, which was done by a consultant and basically mapped areas of chaparral as being very high fire severity hazard. So, it just depends on what the question is that you're asking. And at least at this level of the state responsibility areas, it's a consistent kind of question.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys didn't do a lot of mitigation then. It's just a difference in how CAL FIRE is defining high fire right now.
I think it's a difference in
hazard.
terms of the inputs that they have and the models that they're running. So they're using more data of different kinds at higher resolution, and the
Yeah.
modeling is more refined as well.
Yeah.
Are you saying the Stanford consultants found a higher risk factor than the CAL FIRE mapping did?
So they ask a different question though, and that is, what would burn basically if there was a fire? And so if you get chaparral, then you're going to get burning basically, and they show the chaparral as having really high flammability, but we know that already. Does that answer the question?
I think I'm going to have a lot of questions of you and a lot of people when all the fire maps come out. I'm not sure I even know the questions I have to ask.
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting to have someone from Stanford present the fire hazard modeling for Stanford that they're using as their 5-year implementation plan.
Hey, Jennifer, would it be okay for me to show the interactive viewer on the CAL FIRE website that lets you compare the 2007 map versus today's map?
It's fire map. That's what we're discussing.
Okay,
yeah,
so I'm gonna share. So this, whoops, sorry. These are my notes. So this is CAL FIRE's page. Fire hazard severity zones. And if you go down, they have this map here, right? But if you go down here, use the interactive viewer. Can you see that link okay?
Yeah.
When you go that, then it takes you to a different map. And this is the map that is, you can play with a little.
Huh.
So you,
Really cool.
yeah, you, let's see. I'll just put in my address. Oh, I guess I shouldn't do that for the whole world.
It's
Ah, well,
fine.
so, then we'll zoom out. Okay, so now what you can do is this side, let's close that,
So the left is the current.
is the current, and then
Yeah.
this is the old. And let's see,
wow.
that's Jasper Ridge, right? No, or
Yeah.
no.
Yes, it is.
So Jasper Ridge, you can see, was high in 2007. If you look here on the right side, this is Jasper Ridge, that little orange spot.
Yeah.
And
Bring it-
as you pull it over, then you see it
Oh,
became
wow. Look at that.
moderate. Yeah, and you can see the other thing I kind of noticed, because I have a relative that lives up in El Granada, way up here at the left corner.
Yeah.
And you can see that they got much worse. They got worse actually, because now their fire danger came all the way down to Highway 1. It looks
This is
like.
a really cool tool. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, this is
Yeah.
great. Because at first I spent half an hour looking at the
I know,
old
going
map
back and
looking at
forth,
the-
right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I found that little link and I go,
Wow,
oh,
this is
gosh.
great.
So
Totally great.
when it comes out for the LRA, for the
Right.
local, this will be really key.
A very good tool, right?
So,
And I do
Sure.
want to point out, these maps are under review right now by the community. These could change.
yeah, and actually, there's some emails going around that, San Mateo County is having their public comment cycle on January 11th, but it's only in person. It's only in it's in person for San Mateo County. It's in Redwood City, and they will only take comments. They won't answer any questions.
Ah.
But I think I'll probably go because I'm kind of curious what the process is about.
So is there any comments from the community about these fire maps? Nothing from Patty? Okay. So I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, Patty, did you say something?
No.
So I just think that we're gonna, when we get to the agenda portion, we're gonna have to ask what do we want to do? How do we want to proceed? Is there something sooner than later we want to do with fire maps? Any other comments? Or, I mean, maybe we can talk about it now. I mean, I just think we're going to have to kind of wait for the next batch of fire maps, and there's not much for us to do except read these documents. If anyone, yes, go ahead.
Any idea when the local, the LRA maps will be out?
No,
No idea.
I mean, I keep hearing it'll be next month, but MJ, have you heard?
Board is mostly responsible for that.
I think they have 120 days after they receive the state maps, the SRA maps, then they have 120 days for the locals to tailor them to the local areas.
Okay.
Yeah, the last I read, I think they were talking about this summer for the local maps. But Nona might be right, but
Well, the code says a local agency shall designate by ordinance very high fire hazard severity zones in its jurisdiction within 120 days of receiving recommendations from the state fire marshal. And it depends on when that clock starts ticking, whether
right.
it's
They have to
from
like
the
May,
draft maps
right?
or whether it's from the final approved maps.
Right.
And I don't know which that is, but there is that 120-day period.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, the local maps are not supposed, I believe, I have to look through all my notes. I have it written down somewhere, but my memory is something like it's now they're talking about this summer. Because it's going to take them quite a while to go through this whole process for the SRA maps.
Right.
And they have to finish that off. And so.
And then you have the fire district, our fire district, hiring flame mappers. And so that's going to be another set of maps that are going to come out.
Yeah, the way the LRA maps work is the fire district has the option to say that the Cal Fire's LRA maps aren't, we disagree. We want this stricter map or this finer resolution map or, a better map. So they have the option to do that.
Okay. Okay, then I think we'll move on to the next, and this, so we'll revisit this again as soon as the maps come out. Next is a really quick update on the Wildfire Preparedness Fair. And since we're not theoretically meeting till the end of February, so the fair is on April 22nd. Wanda's already said she's gonna handle the insurance table. Dee is gonna handle the contractor table. MJ is in charge of lectures. We're gonna do 3 lectures at the schoolhouse. There'll be hybrid lectures, so people will be able to Zoom in or attend in person, and they'll be recorded so they can go on our website. She's totally in charge of the lectures. I'm sure at the end of February, she'll tell you what she's planned.
Cool.
I'm gonna organize the event. It's gonna feel very much like last year. I'm not gonna recreate the wheel because it was hard enough to create that wheel. This time we have not the EPC is coming and they're bringing their communication van. CERT is going to be there with their van. A sustainability committee is going to be there. Hopefully with some kind of a little global warming or climate change message. I'm hoping Nona that conservation will be there. We are, I'm going to be calling all the block captains and just making sure that they know about the fair so that hopefully when they get my email, they'll forward it to their neighbors. Because I really want to drum up. We're going for 200 to 300 people this year. We're going to try to double or triple. We're going to contact the school districts. So anyways, this next month, and now it's going to be 2 months before we meet, I'm just going to go full forward and just do what we did last year. If you guys have any thoughts about the Wildfire Preparedness Fair, you can always just email me. Just don't email anyone else in the committee because we don't want to get into a Brown Act issue. Does anyone have any concerns about not getting status on the Wildfire Preparedness Fair to the end of February? And I kind of suspect we won't have a lot of time to discuss it.
I wanted to ask the committee advice on one topic. I'm trying to work it out with Selena. I was thinking instead of having a regular just a file marshal Don Bullard talk, instead of doing that, I thought it might be interesting to have like a tabletop exercise where we invite in like San Mateo County Office of Emergency Services or whatever their name is now. They changed their name. And so we have them, maybe someone from the sheriff and someone from the fire district. And, they go through these tabletop exercises where they practice what would happen in a wildfire or in an earthquake or something. They just talk through it. And I thought, well, I wonder if they could do that on a small scale, kind of like a little performance for townspeople. I don't know. Would that be interesting?
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's great.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've been trying to
Definitely.
talk to Selena about this for like 2 months, but we keep not being able to meet. So
So I think that should be the last one though. So-
yeah, it would be the last one of the day for
right.
sure.
So we can go over. I think that's just.
I love it.
Oh, you guys like that? Oh, cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that's amazing.
Excuse me.
So, oh, you okay? COVID? Just kidding. Too soon, right? To joke about it.
No, I've been sick for 5 days. This is it's not COVID, but man, it just might as well have been.
Oh, sorry. And then you had the grandkids there. So you also said you were going to probably do an insurance lecture with CDI?
Right. Yeah. California Department of Insurance said they would send somebody. I'm not sure who. And then the other talk I was trying to organize.
Maybe they will man the insurance table for an hour before their lecture. Just a hint. And then what's your other topic going to be?
I was going to get a DIY panel together. I have one DIY guy to talk about what he's done in his house in Woodside. And I thought I would try to get more people like that. But, it's hard to find people that have actually done things and are willing to talk about it. So if any of you have, raise your hand.
So you're not going to try to get anybody to discuss climate change or anything broader?
Well, that's my backup if I can't get enough for a DIY panel.
Okay. I imagine D probably.
Well, I'm just thinking, as you were talking, like how we could work together there. But
Yeah. Are you D? Are you friends with the woman who was the Woodside Building Department person? I
just
forgot her
heard.
name.
I just found out about her, Denise, right?
No, I forgot her name. She retired last year or something like that.
Yeah,
Denise?
I've reached out. Does she hold like a monthly meeting?
Oh, no, you're thinking of Denise Ania. She's the former fire marshal.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about.
I think it was Lisa.
Hmm.
No,
So Dee's doing the do-it-yourself table. I'm sure she's gonna have, you guys can do this offline.
Okay.
oh,
The only thing I will say is please, well, no, just because it's a table doesn't mean that it's not a lecture that you can zoom in and ask questions or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, we're gonna, because we did it last year and now we have actually got a contractor on our committee. It's like, we're absolutely gonna do big time, do it yourself. And that's gonna be a big push, a marketing push.
oh, okay. Maybe Dee, you should be on my panel then.
Oh,
You'll have to walk away from your
That's what I'm
table
saying.
in
We
the
could,
fair.
we could work together, right? So
Okay,
if I
all
have like
right.
a model, then that lecture could happen at the model. You know, I mean, let's figure out how to
Okay,
work
We'll
together.
just put a sign on your table. We're at the lecture. Make
Okay.
sure you guys, MJ, I want your list and a paragraph description of your lectures a full month before the fair. I need to market it. I need to send it out.
Yeah, okay.
Fully formulated paragraph description, speaker title a month before.
Yeah, I anticipated that, Jennifer. I've been
Okay.
having nightmares.
Yeah, you know how I am. You know how I am. Yeah, nothing gets done at the last minute. Okay. So if you guys have any thoughts, email me. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. If any comments from the public about the Wildfire Preparedness Fair on April 22nd?
Go for it.
Okay. And by the way, we're also going to have wildfire ambassadors. I'm going to try to get volunteers involved where they can greet people. So I don't have to stand there for 4 hours again. So we're going on to new business E, Firewise discussion about Portola Valley working with WPV Ready. This is really short. I just wanted to give you an update. And MJ, just go ahead and break in anytime. MJ and I attended the WPV Ready committee meeting where they were having a discussion about how to boost Firewise participation. And Patty was there too, by the way, in the district. And they met under that committee for Brown Act reasons, so that they were under a Brown Act umbrella of WPV Ready. And we discussed, Chip Swan is the chair. I've known him since Priory. And we discussed, you know, how to boost participation and in the district. And my question going to the meeting was, how could this committee help to grow Firewise communities in Portola Valley? And as you know, the ranch is a Firewise community, but the homeowner association runs the Firewise committee. So they do all of the paperwork and a lot of the submissions, and the committee is the volunteers. So it's not a true Firewise model. So Patty is the first person to step up with her volunteers to actually have a Firewise committee in Portola Valley, and we're really excited. So there wasn't any clarity at this meeting how we as a committee could actually help boost Firewise communities. This is a district program, and it's up to Don and his staff to actually support the creation of Firewise committees. However, there's a lot we can do to assist existing Firewise communities, and that's what MJ and I are going to talk with Patty about. I just think that the R4W Sprint program is a perfect fit. I think we have a list of potential landscapers. We might be able to arrange some kind of discounts. We whatever it takes, we've got all of these wildfire tips, whatever it takes, we can have this toolkit to help them. So I just wanted you to know that was happening and that there is some confusion about Brown Act violations. If we had too many of our members attend these members, I believe that it would be a Brown Act violation because we have just discussed funding a program that involved Firewise. So I think we have to make sure that if Dee wants to attend these meetings with MJ, I probably would bow out because 3 people is just too close to a quorum for me to be comfortable. So just to keep that in mind. And it is something that maybe Dee would want to attend these more than me because you are doing more of the home hardening and you're on the committee with MJ. So I'm just very open to whatever you want to do. I just want you to know that conversation is happening.
No, I appreciate that. I think it does make a lot of sense for us to be involved in how, whether it's getting the word out or just being consistent in our messages, yeah, I appreciate, I don't really, what's the next step, I guess is my question.
Yeah, having another meeting. You can talk to MJ about this.
Okay.
Also on the side to decide if this is something that's good for your subcommittee.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to actually, by the way, the Wildfire Preparedness Fair is going to have a whole table just for Firewise. I mean, we are absolutely sending out the message about Firewise. And with this insurance changes that are coming at the end of April, that's when we're going to see the rate proposals. Our messaging is going to be all about Firewise because it's really the one thing you can do to lower your insurance rates. Because they do have to give you a discount. We don't know how much, but they have to give you a discount if you're a Firewise community. So we're going to message next year Firewise. I just don't know. I mean, Chip is talking about possibly having us call people or knock on doors.
Okay.
I don't know whether that's something this committee wants to get involved with, but we can certainly support existing Firewise communities.
But just for the record, like MJ and I can discuss anything because we're a subcommittee, right? Like I have free range as far as Brown's Act is concerned.
Yes.
I can reach out to her. She can reach out to me because we're a subcommittee. We get to talk back and forth, right? Like that.
Yes.
Okay.
But all 3 of us attended this meeting. And we're all talking about this, the subjects of, well, what about financial assistance to Firewise communities? And we start talking about, oh, well, we're thinking about this grant.
Gotcha.
Now that's 3, and I've already talked to Wanda about it because she's on my subcommittee. Now we have a Brown Act violation because we've had a quorum. We've had a serial meeting.
Okay.
So it's probably better. So we can talk about it. And if you have an interest in attending these, I would happily bow out. I don't really, I just think it's important for us to have this connection with a Firewise.
Jennifer, so I think that's something that we really need to, sorry, I guess I could make my picture come up. I know it's kind of weird.
It's only 2 people, Patty, so.
Well, I was eating dinner, so I didn't want to, I think it's important to kind of get this Brown Act thing figured out because I think it would behoove us to have as many people involved as possible. So for instance, one of the things we talked about was having people sit down together as I fill out the Firewise application, right? So why can't we have as many people sit down and go through that as possible? I personally can't believe that's a Brown Act violation. Because I'm a resident doing something in my own neighborhood. I'm not a town appointed committee.
Helping you is not a Brown Act violation. We can all come to your house and sit with you and help you do your application.
Right.
But
so
us sitting on a panel of WPV Ready brainstorming about possible ways of giving in. I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to Cara about this one.
I know.
I just, yeah, but we can help you. We as a committee, that is our job to help you. You are a resident of Portola Valley, and anything you need, we are here for you.
Okay. All right.
And
Good.
you can call any of us that you
I
think
will.
have
I will. I
expertise.
will.
Especially
I
you
will.
call me. If you're not
I'm just-
getting what you need, you call me and I will make it happen.
I will, trust me. I'm just working through a couple other, got this ADU survey thing I'm trying to figure out. Got a couple other big things going on, but it's on my list.
And I would
Very
like
quick.
to be next to you because, you know, that was my profession is I did software. So I'm an ancient dinosaur, but I still kind of understand concepts. So I would love to sit with you. And I have been on their websites and I have investigated how to apply for Firewise, and I'd love
Well,
to.
I'm thinking in the next couple weeks, I want to get it done. So I will, yeah, I'll reach out. But
Okay.
yeah, yes. So that's okay for the first step, but I still think it's kind of important to get the Brown Act thing figured out, just so we could be as effective as possible, and you can all be as effective as possible.
Yeah, I'll figure it
That
out.
way-
It's on my list.
Yeah.
Any other comments on Firewise? MJ, you don't have anything to say? Okay. We got 15 minutes. Okay, so 5F, okay, restructuring subcommittees, upcoming agenda topics, goals. So are the subcommittees working for everybody? We're all happy?
Well, our subcommittee hasn't done anything together since October, probably, huh?
Right.
Wanda, I always love working with Wanda. I mean, MJ, do you want me to break finance and insurance out? Do you want to be like on the insurance subcommittee with Wanda because you have an interest in insurance? No?
No.
Okay. Then let's talk. So goals and agenda. And this is pretty quick. So I'm looking at this year and where did I put my stupid notes? I have so many pieces of paper on this desk, you would not believe it. Okay, so fire maps are definitely going to be this year. The CWPP is going to be late this year. That's what I'm hearing. And that's the California Wildfire Protection Plan. It's a document that the fire district creates. It's not part of the general plan. I think it's the Board of Forestry. But if you apply for a grant, for example, this grant that we applied to, I can't read it, the CWG something or other, you have to have a CWPP that outlines the project you're submitting the grant to. It's a plan for your community, and it's very detailed. Because, you know, Dee mentioned earlier, well, our safety element recommendations are way too detailed. They are, but they are our manifesto for the year, because we will take every comment we put in those recommendations and we will bring them over to the CWPP, because the CWPP is a detailed plan. And if you look at Marin County CWPP, it's wonderful. They really in detail say all of the specific projects they want to do and how they want to accomplish them. It's a much more detailed document. So we are going to participate in that, and we're going to have input with that. And I've talked to Jeremy multiple times. That's going to be a very important thing that we're doing later this year. We're going to support Westridge Firewise community. I think, to me, this is my goal. I think that would be really incredible for us to do that. And then the Wildfire Preparedness Fair is my other goal. We also have insurance. The end of April, the insurance companies have to give their new rates and models to the California Insurance Commission. And we're going to start to see how they're going to implement these new insurance changes. what kind of discounts will Firewise get? How they're interpreting these regulations, what insurance companies may leave, how all of this is looking. So insurance is going to be a big topic. So what other goals do you guys see happening this year?
Well, I'd like to see our, this wildfire checklist in the building department. I'd like to see that get some wheels.
Okay,
So I guess I should talk it over with Dee, because that would make sense to just come right out of our subcommittee, right, Dee?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
so your big goal though, by April, you got to be ready for the wildfire preparedness fair. Do your checklist. He's also working on a project that we will tell you about at the end of February.
It's just an idea yet. It's not done yet. We'll
It's-
see.
We can't say anything right now.
Okay.
But what other goals? How do you feel about, Edgar, I thought about, your wildfire tips. Would you like to see if we can get other committees involved and do something like a weekly tip, and maybe it's not always wildfire, maybe get the EPC to do one per month, or get conservation to say something like, this is the month that you need to deal with these kind of plants or look for a certain kind of disease or something. Is that?
You mean related to wildfire though? Or you're saying just for
Or
their
just a
own?
townwide tip? I mean, are you okay doing wildfire tips every week? It just seems like it's such a huge effort.
Well, actually, I had always told Carrie I didn't mind doing them every week because I always had something to write about. Now, actually, I took off this month of December because with all the rain and stuff and not having massive wildfires this summer, there was actually less to write about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'm not sure, actually. I am actually starting to run out of things to write about. I actually can't write every week at this point because there's not enough going on. Once all the insurance things settles out and some of these other things, it'll get more active, but.
Maybe we could start to write about Firewise.
I was looking at those today because I was checking out the website, and I just wanted to commend you again. I'm impressed with how much you have put out, and they're really well written. They're succinct.
Oh, thanks.
They give you a lot of information in a short amount of time. And they're also really important. So as we get closer to that drier season, I think you just refresh the things that you've done, the things that you have put out there. We need to hear again and again, even if you took that same article and put it there. They're so
Yeah.
well written.
Oh, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, seriously.
I agree.
Well, if you guys have things you want me to write about, let me know, because like I said, I am running out of ideas. So if you guys
I
have
like
things
Dee's
and-
idea. I like Dee's idea. It's, it's spring, it's springtime. Read these 3 tips.
yeah,
These are your 3 to-dos this month, rather than maybe even do it weekly. What about a monthly tip? These are the 3 things you should be doing this month. Or something like that. I agree with Dee. I cannot believe.
See, I wouldn't be scared about saying the same thing. In fact, I kind of want you to say the same thing that you said last year. I want
well,
you to
that's
say,
true.
I want you to say it again and keep us, keep that
Okay.
in the front of our minds. So
Well, let me ask you guys, do you want them to be weekly or monthly? I mean, I just started doing weekly because
I love them.
frankly, I started doing weekly because at that time, the town was coming under a lot of pressure, and some people were saying the town wasn't doing enough. And so I started writing about all the things the town and everybody else was doing. That's how I got started. But
I don't think you should feel compelled to do weekly. I think I like the idea of Dee had about reusing what you have.
right.
And I like consolidating maybe once a month saying these 3 tips,
Yeah.
revisit them, and then maybe do a new one every month. But
Yeah,
you've got
so you'd
so
rather see once a month.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have the contrary viewpoint. I think putting something out there in front of people, especially during fire season or, spring and summer, hey, now's the time to do the weeds. What are your alternatives? This is, look, I just, you have enough information there already. So
Yeah,
I like the idea of if it's a Martha Stewart thing, it's May. These are the 4 things you should do in May. Because then it's one weekend and it's Saturday, you go out and you clean your gutters and you do
Okay.
that. I just think once a week it's gonna be. Wanda, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, there's an advantage to having something be regular every single week. And I kind of like the idea of weekly 1, 2, 3, and then at the end of the month, you summarize, here are the 3 tips that came out this month, and get people in the habit of expecting to see that every week.
Yeah, I like that too.
how about you, Nona?
I think Wanda's suggestion was great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Especially because MJ does all the work.
So promoting Patty's comment about promoting Firewise, we will be, well, the Portola Valley newsletter will be promoting Firewise as well, but it would be great to package emails to the Firewise committee so that they have an email they personally send out to their neighborhood. Because the neighbors will read, somebody like, if Patty sends out an email to the neighbors, they're likely to read it more than they might from the town. That would be something I'd like to even pre-package, that this is, this is your monthly email to your neighbors. Boom, 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 boom. This is what your neighborhood should be doing. And you should have those tips, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure people are going to want to read another email, but certainly picking out the top 2 or 3 things that we're focusing on as a Firewise community, or this is how we started. These are the first 2 or 3 things we did. Now we're working on this, or now we've got 40 homes that have signed up to do, XYZ. I mean, I think just getting the word out there. I used to have a boss that said people don't remember things unless you've told them 3 times. So
Yeah.
I like Dee's point, which is just repeat what you've already said.
Yeah.
People, anyway, just repeat. Location. And, MJ, I can start to feed you some of the stuff from Firewise to break it up, but don't worry about brand new content. You've got plenty of really good stuff.
Okay, so it sounds like we're gonna stick with sort of weekly. I mean, I do take weeks off when I'm, frazzled or whatever. I'll try to reuse more prior tips that, are very relevant. And I'll also really welcome everyone's suggestions. And I guess I'll see if I can sort of summarize monthly if I get sort of a 1, 2, 3 format going.
Do we have a schedule? These are the things, it's time to do your gutters.
I have a general seasonal schedule that I inherited from Lori Duvall. So,
That would be a good thing to emphasize.
yeah.
Okay, so last
One,
thing, go ahead. No,
One
please.
thing that you could also think about doing is conservation has a tip of the month that we do as well. And a lot of that is, now is when you weed this, now is when you deadhead that, this is when you do, cutting back different kinds of plants. So if there's any reason to kind of coordinate those in terms of, getting rid of invasives, something like that, that would be another thing you could just stick in there.
I get the Conservation Committee agenda packets. Is that tip of the month in the agenda packet? Or where is that?
So each month we talk about what it will be, and then one person is responsible for writing it to the forum.
Oh, they put it only in the forum?
Why doesn't it go out
Oh.
on the email, the town
Yeah.
email?
Yeah, why doesn't it go
get
out
it.
from the conservation committee like the tips do? Like the wildfire tips do?
It could.
It
Yeah.
should. I'm not getting it, and I would read it because I live in the ranch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, like I really filter what I read from PV forum in my email, so that's why I didn't even know where your tips were.
I don't read the PB forum, so I don't know. Okay.
No, now I
Okay,
want you to
good
know,
to
I
know.
read your tips every month. I see them on the PB forum and I have a digest too, MJ, but I still read them.
Okay, we have 2
Okay.
minutes before Wanda starts that ice cream starts calling to her. Okay, so for the agenda next year, we know we're gonna have the people back from Windy Hill, MROSD Skyline area managers back to give their mid-pen to give their update, and that'll probably be March or April. We know Stanford is going to come, and Nona, you're saying they have a fire model map or a fire model?
They have a 5-year plan for fuel reduction.
Yeah, I've read that. But that's what we want them to go through.
I think so. I think especially,
Okay.
since it includes the Stanford Wedge and also Jasperidge, which borders Westridge, or I don't know. I think it would be of some interest.
Okay, so that would be a possible topic. We have enforcement. There has been changes. There's a new ordinance. They are hiring a full-time inspector. They have added tools. They have they're going for a much higher compliance level. They have a new iPad system that streamlines enforcement. They've implemented a new fine system of $100, $350, and then $500 fine if they find a violation. They can up that, they can do, it's very flexible from what I understand. They have a whole, so basically my understanding is you're going to see a citation process start to happen. The person has so many days, like 45 to 60 days to remove the tree, or there's another citation. They have figured out a way to get their abatement cost back from the county, so that the county will bill you with your tax bill to get that abatement back. So they are now, my understanding is they're now able to abate properties that are out of compliance. So there's a whole bunch of things they went through. And I believe my notes are correct, but it is in the last EPC meeting. It's only about a 20-minute summary. It was really interesting. We will be having Dawn come back and talk to us about this. And I think it's very timely that they're increasing enforcement, because people are going to start to get really dinged on insurance come springtime. So I think it's really a good thing if they're upping their enforcement capability a little bit. I think we need to be sure that people understand what is fire code and what they're expected to do and what is citable and not. And that would be something I'd like to cover in the Wildfire Preparedness Fair, so that people can go and really understand what they're supposed to do. I'd like to think Dawn would come back. I guess that will be at the end of February and discuss this. Then they should know a lot more. But it was a really great presentation. I'm all for anything with enforcement. Somebody asked at the meeting specifically, she has a neighbor who won't get rid of a dead tree, and I guess that this process will help that now. So,
So enforcement is one of our agenda items, right? Is that what we're?
well, this could be, so that's on my list. I mean, I would think that everyone would be interested in enforcement. There's also Los Altos Hills and Palo Alto PD, and Jeremy said that they're both doing some fire mitigation efforts that might be of interest. Nona had brought up the idea of us getting involved with making recommendations to the ADU plan. We definitely will at the end of the year be discussing the CWPP. It'll probably be very similar to the safety element, probably 1 or 2 meetings. And then this whole issue of mitigation of like a funded program is going to probably come back to us one way or the other, because that grant is either going to be granted and we're going to have a grant program in Portola Valley that we might weigh in on, or it won't be funded and we will be right back making possibly a recommendation to a funded program. And then Dee also suggested she wanted to concentrate on communications within the town. MJ.
Yeah, I had 2 things for future agenda.
Yeah.
Agendas. One is don't we have to do election of officers?
Does someone want to be chair?
No, we just need to re-elect you though.
I think that's May or June.
No, I think it's every January. You
I
better
haven't
ask
been- I haven't been a
Melissa.
chair. Okay.
What?
If anyone would like to be chair,
Or secretary.
or secretary, I will train you and be there right by your. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll ask when that has to happen, but I haven't been. I thought it was a year.
Someone told me it has to be every January, so maybe I'm wrong.
No.
The other question is, do we have to go to hybrid?
Oh yeah. Oh, wasn't that on my agenda? Did I miss that on the agenda item?
I didn't see it on the agenda.
I
I did see
am
it on the agenda.
okay.
It is
so-
on the agenda?
Okay, so our next meeting, I may have missed it. Yes, I missed that item. It was with meeting time. I apologize. The next meeting, I will be unlocking the schoolhouse and sitting by myself in the schoolhouse in case anyone
Really?
wants to join me. You do not have to join me in the schoolhouse. But obviously we want an open government, and it's important for people to be able to meet, in person. So you will get a link. It'll be hybrid. You can Zoom in, or you can bring me cookies. Either way, it's fine with me.
Wow. So it's not optional then for committees to be all Zoom? They all have to be
If it was
hybrid?
optional, we would be doing all Zoom.
Oh,
Because I
wow.
am not in any way excited about sitting in the schoolhouse by myself at 7 o'clock at night. But, this is why they pay me the big bucks. That's a joke. I don't get any money. Okay, so of these agenda items, okay, Wanda, I'm getting you your ice cream. Is there any, I'm just going to walk through them again. Is there any, just call out if you don't want them on your agenda. And by the way, is there anything in the community? Does the community have any suggestions for agenda items next year? Okay. So I'm going to walk through these, and I just want you to say yes or no if you love them or you don't care, because we're not even going to have a meeting for another 2 months. So we want to have mid-pen back.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
We know we're going to have to at least have one big meeting in April, May on insurance, or June with the effects, right?
Right.
Okay. Stanford, I would love to have Stanford.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Enforcement,
Yes.
and that's got to be February, right? We should try to get Dawn to, I don't think he's going to talk more than 15 minutes. I think we should try to get Dawn to tell us what's going on with enforcement. Agreed? Okay. How do you feel about Los Altos Hills and the Palo Alto PD coming and talking about their fire mitigation efforts?
Not very excited about it. I'd be interested in hearing about it. I just don't want to hear
Done.
Someone's talking about it for 15 minutes.
How do you feel? Oh, you know, you can't invite anyone for 15 minutes because it just, you know. So this idea of us weighing in on ADU planning. I have mixed feelings. I don't think we are needed.
I think we're too late.
Okay. Okay.
Good point.
Okay, CWPP, we all want to be participating in CWPP document. That's,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
okay. And we have to do the mitigation funding program to some degree, and I'm writing a report on that, and we might be able to get out by doing that. And then communications, how to improve wildfire mitigation communications. So I'll think about, Dee, do you want to lead that? Do you want me to lead that? Somebody's got to pull together all the different town communications. I'm happy to do that, but it's going to be after the wildfire preparedness fair.
Yeah, it'll definitely be after the fair.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So February is going to be enforcement, and it's going to be the fair and anything
Yes.
else.
Yes.
And then, Patty, I would really like you to get me status of Westridge, just so that I know if I don't hear from you, because we are really very interested in what's happening just topically. So, you know, keep us going. Okay. Ooh, we're 9 minutes over. Does conservation have any update? Can you check and verify that you're going to be at the wildfire preparedness fair?
Yeah, I'll check. I'm pretty sure we're committed on that.
Home hardening and vegetation management subcommittee, nothing.
No update.
Finance and insurance subcommittee.
Not yet.
Okay, is everybody good for February 23rd? Just waiting that long?
Yeah.
Okay, so our next meeting will be February 23rd.
We got it.
Okay, and then after that, it will be March 23rd. And after that, it will be April 27th. Okay, the fourth Thursday of every month.
Got it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I move to adjourn.
Do you need a motion? If you do, I'll move it.
Do we need to make a motion? I think we should
Second it.
adjourn. Okay, we got a second.
Thank
Okay,
you so much.
Happy New Year.
Hey, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.